I'm feeling better now. I've borrowed Amanda's dog. And I'm sure our next speaker will find that that's okay because he happens to be an expert in human behavior. I'm sure it's quite sane to stroke his head and to take him home with me tonight because I'm so lonely. Had we not chosen the next speaker, we would have had an all-female lineup tonight, which would have been so cool. But he promised me when he comes out, he will allow his divine feminine to come out as well. He paid me to say, you know him, you love him, you can't live without him. Give it up for Tim Shurr.
All right. Hey guys, how are ya? Woo! If you're feeling good, say yeah! Yeah, you can do better. If you're feeling good, say yeah! Yeah, good. Nice. All right. Thank you for being here tonight. My name's Tim Shurr, and I'm going to share 4 strategies. 4 strategies that are going to help you to manifest miracles in your life. I'm going to show you how to turn on that power that you're walking around with inside of you. You have incredible resources, and a lot of times we forget how powerful we really are. And so I'm going to share what I call the gift formula, which is going to help you to be able to really start focusing on and expecting to find miracles. Because whatever you look for the most, you're going to find. I just realized, there it is. Yeah, I knew I was missing something. There we go, boom. So what are miracles? Miracles are solutions that show up right when you need them the most. And so miracles happen all the time. Sometimes they seem small. Sometimes they happen, we don't even realize they happen. You're thinking of a friend, and then all of a sudden, they call you up. Or like Amanda was talking about, sitting there with her friends, and a TV show comes on, and boom. And her parents are watching the same show. There's all kinds of miracles that happen in your life. Are you looking for them? Whatever you look for enough, you're going to find. What's this say? Yell it out. What's that say? That's right. Okay, for those of you that said, it says nowhere, you're right. For those of you that said now here, you're right. Your miracles are nowhere to be found or now here, baby. It just depends on where you put your focus. So let's talk about some of the miracles that I've seen in my clients that I've worked with over the years. So let's start with Marie. When I met Marie, she was 70 years old, and she came to me and she said, Tim, I want to write a book. It's my life dream. And I said, well, okay, let's make this happen. Tell me a little bit about the book. And she said, well, when I was 65, I retired as an Indiana state librarian. I didn't have much money, and then my husband passed, and I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. So I went to Colorado, and I took a little adventure trip. I did some canoeing, and I loved it. The adventure bug bit me. And she says, you know what happens when it bites you? You have to do more. So I started traveling, and I found these groups, and my friends would say, well, you can't do that. You're too old. You're going to fall and get hurt. She says, you could fall in your bathtub and get hurt. They said, well, you don't have any money. She says, you can find a way. She was really focused on finding her miracle. And so she ended up traveling around the country and then traveling around the world. She swam with the turtles in the Galapagos Islands. She rode a camel in Egypt, and she went tree surfing, which is zip lining in Australia, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh. She says, yeah. She says, I just realized that life doesn't begin until 70. So we started putting the gift method to work. And a year later, this is her book. Old librarians don't die, they jump out of airplanes. So if you ever feel like your best years are behind you, think again. Now let's talk about Sally. Sally was also a retired teacher, and she was living on her Social Security and her pension, and for whatever reason, $150 got taken out of her monthly pay, and she was freaking out. She didn't know what she was going to do. And so I said, well, let's start using this gift method. Let's start manifesting some miracles. And she said, okay. She comes back a week later, and she says, Tim, you're never going to believe what just happened. Now, I love to hear that. And I said, what happened? And she said, well, I decided I was going to do something, so I made jewelry. I used to make jewelry, and I made a piece of jewelry, and my neighbor bought it. Guess how much? I said, how much? She goes, $150. I said, sweet, you just got to do one a month, and you're in the clear. So she got excited about this. She went to visit her son, and he was having a rough time, and she started teaching him this gift method, how to manifest what you want in your life. And they got excited. She comes back home, And I get a call from her, and she says, Tim, you're never going to believe this. And I said, what? And she said, let me tell you this story. So I come home, and I'm paying my bills, and there's a deposit for $10,000 in my account. And I thought, uh-oh, somebody goofed. So I called the teachers union, and they said, well, we did an audit, and over the last 30 years, we had pulled money out of your checking account, or out of your checks, and you never got it. You actually were due $15,000, but after taxes, this is what was left. The money's yours. Woo. So if you ever feel like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this challenge, think again. One more story. This is my friend Paula. Now, I like this picture of Paula, but she was 49 years old. She came to me and she says, Tim, I'm having a hard time. I'm about 50 pounds overweight. I'm drinking too much. My relationship isn't going that well, and I'm just unhappy. She says, I need to change my life. I said, let's start creating some miracles for you. So I said, what would be amazing? What would be amazing? Because you can live up to your dreams. So if you're dreaming small, it's not a big deal. So dream big. And she said, you know what? She says, I want to be a bodybuilder, and I want a place when I'm 50 years old. And I said, whoa, that's dreaming big. But I said, let's do it. So we applied the formula, okay? A year later, which was actually a couple months ago, at 50 years old, she placed third as a bodybuilder. I know. Good for Paula. Now, I said, Paula, that's awesome. And she says, next time, I'm going for first place. I saw her a couple weeks ago. She says, Tim, you're never going to believe what just happened. First place, 50 years old, and she's just getting started. So if you think you're never going to be able to transform your health, think again. So let's start talking about the GIFT method. It's 4 steps to turning your goals into a reality. Step 1, start with gratitude. Because whatever you focus on, you move towards. And life is kind of like a mirror. So whatever you're secretly thinking and feeling kind of gets reflected back to you. So if it's not going the way that you want, instead of trying to fix it out there, remember that success is an inside job. So you focus on gratitude and you start thinking about the things that you are grateful for. You'll hear stories that are heartbreaking, and then people will say, but I'm glad I went through it because it made me who I am today. Whatever challenge you are, take it and use it and make it work for you. So first we get thankful, we get excited, we start thinking that we're blessed and we're abundant already. Even if we're not where we want to be, we're making progress. Because then that starts to get you excited about step 2. Gift, G, and then I. I stands for intentional. Intentional is all about focusing on what you want and hanging on to it and expecting to get it. The number one reason people don't get what they want is because they don't focus on what they want. They focus on what they're afraid of and what they don't have. So this is my dog Spot. He's only 2 pounds, but when he grabs onto a chew toy, he is not letting go. His full name is Spoticus. He's a warrior. Now the other night, I look over playing with him, and he literally fell asleep with the chew toy in his mouth. Are you hanging on to your dream that tightly? So when we focus on what we want and we get intentional, it activates this part of our mind called the reticular activating system. And it's this kind of like almost a deleting system. Anything that it doesn't feel is irrelevant, or it feels it's just not worth your attention, or anything you don't believe is going to happen, gets deleted. Just like the nowhere and now here. You might have your opportunity right in front of you, but if you don't believe that's the case, you will not see it. Your brain will delete it from your awareness. An example of noticing things, have you ever bought a car and you never see them around, and as soon as you drive off the lot, they're all over the place? Well, now it's because your mind is finding that information. So I'm doing a session with a client of mine, Kathy with a K, and she says, we go through this exercise, and she says, my power color is going to be orange, and it's going to remind me to go out there and be intentional. I get a text 2 hours later. She says, you're never going to believe this. Love it. Look what I found. She says, I walked through this store 1,000 times. I've never seen this pillow. It's an orange pillow with the letter K. It made her get excited. Now, the third piece of the GIFT method is F, and F stands for faith. You have to have faith that it's actually going to work out. Otherwise, when it gets tough, you'll give in. when it gets tough, you have to be able to bounce. Because when life knocks you down, it doesn't matter that you got knocked down. What matters is that you bounce back up and try to land on your back, like Les Brown says. If you can land on your back, you can see up. If you can see up, you can get up. Hallelujah. Okay? So we want to make sure that we are having faith in what we want. So there's this gentleman, you might have heard of him, named Walt Disney. And Walt had this dream, he had this faith, he had this idea that he wanted to create this place where you could kind of go around the world in one place. Everybody thought he was nuts, but he believed it. Now, unfortunately, he passed away about a month before Epcot finally opened. And a reporter was there on opening day with Roy Disney, Walt's brother. And he looked over at Roy and he said, you know, it's a shame that Walt wasn't here to see this. And Roy just smiled at the reporter and he says, you know, Walt was the first one to see this, and that's why we're here today. That's right. That's right. Give it up for Walt. For us kids of all ages. So we have to focus on what we want and have belief. And then the last piece of it is T, and that stands for take action. You can have the best seeds in the world. If you don't stick them in the ground, they ain't going to grow. Right? So you got to get them in the ground. You got to take action. Now, I've used this simple little process I'm going to teach you, and it works so incredibly well. You basically do 3 things each day to move towards your goal. Just 3 things each day, and prioritize. Think to yourself, what are the 3 things that I could do today that will get me to where I want to go faster than anything else? And then do those 3 things no matter what. Get those 3 things done and do them every day. Now, 3 things might not seem like a lot, but if you do 3 things a day in a week, that's 21 activities. In a month, that's 84 activities. In a year, it's over 1,000 activities. Yeah. Now, if you do 4 activities a day, 4 things to move towards your goal, that's over 1,500 activities at the end of a year. Anybody that puts 1,500 steps in front of them is going to arrive at their destination. So remember that. So the gift method, you got to have gratitude. Be thankful for what you have. Then get intentional. Be focused on what you want. Have faith that you're going to make it happen, that it's going to happen somehow in some way, which causes your mind to find the clues that will help you get there, and then take massive action, 3 steps each and every day. And when people come up to you a year from now and they say, how in the world did you ever achieve this? You can just smile at them and say, it's a miracle. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
That's great. Whoa. Come on here.
No, we're coming back.
Yeah, Reverend Tim Shurr, everybody. Say amen. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Do you believe? Do you really believe? Okay, get off the stage. Thank you, Tim.
Right, thank you.
Tim's been with us before, and it's always an honor
Thank
when
you.
he comes back. He's
Thank
done
you.
a couple of TED Talks as well.